One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command. The distinction between children and adults, while probably useful for some purposes, is at bottom a specious one, I feel. There are only individual egos, crazy for love. Since it is difficult to join them together, it is safer to be feared than to be loved when one of the two must be lacking. Benefits should be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. It is double pleasure to deceive the deceiver. The main foundations of every state, new states as well as ancient or composite ones, are good laws and good arms. You cannot have good laws without good arms, and where there are good arms, good laws inevitably follow. Tardiness often robs us opportunity, and the dispatch of our forces. A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. If an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. Never was anything great achieved without danger. War is just when it is necessary. Arms are permissible when there is no hope except in arms. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. One change always leaves the way open for the establishment of others. Of mankind we may say in general they are fickle, hypocritical, and greedy of gain. A son can bear with equanimity the loss of his father, but the loss of his inheritance may drive him to despair. War should be the only study of a prince. He should consider peace only as a breathing time, which gives him leisure to contrive, and furnishes his ability to execute military plans. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. God is not willing to do everything, and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us. Whoever conquers a free town and does not demolish it commits a great error and may expect to be ruined himself. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Men shrink less from offending one who inspires love than one who inspires fear. Men ought either to be indulged or utterly destroyed, for if you merely offend them they take vengeance, but if you injure them greatly they are unable to retaliate, so that the injury done to a man ought to be such that vengeance cannot be feared. Hence it comes about that all armed prophets have been victorious, and all unarmed prophets have been destroyed. Princes and governments are far more dangerous than other elements within society. Nature that framed us of four elements, warring within our breasts for regiment, doth teach us all to have aspiring minds. Men are so simple and yield so readily to the desires of the moment that he who will trick will always find another who will suffer to be tricked. Severities should be dealt out all at once, so that their suddenness may give less offense. Benefits ought to be handed out drop by drop, so that they may be relished the more. Hatred is gained as much by good works as by evil. We cannot attribute to fortune or virtue that which is achieved without either. To understand the nature of the people one must be a prince, and to understand the nature of the prince, one must be of the people. A wise ruler ought never to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests. For among other evils caused by being disarmed, it renders you contemptible, which is one of those disgraceful things which a prince must guard against. A return to first principles in a republic is sometimes caused by the simple virtues of one man. His good example has such an influence that the good men strive to imitate him, and the wicked are ashamed to lead a life so contrary to his example. When you disarm the people, you commence to offend them and show that you distrust them either through cowardice or lack of confidence, and both of these opinions generate hatred. There is no surer sign of decay in a country than to see the rights of religion held in contempt. Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others. Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times. The more sand has escaped from the hourglass of our life, the clearer we should see through it. Before all else, be armed. The wise man does at once what the fool does finally. There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success, than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things. Politics have no relation to morals. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Men should be either treated generously or destroyed, because they take revenge for slight injuries, for heavy ones they cannot. I'm not interested in preserving the status quo. I want to overthrow it. It is much more secure to be feared than to be loved. It is necessary for him who lays out a state and arranges laws for it to presuppose that all men are evil and that they are always going to act according to the wickedness of their spirits whenever they have free scope. No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until it is ripe for execution. The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise that the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. The fact is that a man who wants to act virtuously in every way necessarily comes to grief among so many who are not virtuous. The new ruler must determine all the injuries that he will need to inflict. He must inflict them once and for all. The wish to acquire more is admittedly a very natural and common thing. And when men succeed in this, they are always praised rather than condemned. But when they lack the ability to do so and yet want to acquire more at all costs, they deserve condemnation for their mistakes.